Good morning, everybody. How you feeling today? Yeah. We got a big day. My friend, my buddy, my brother Nick is getting baptized today. So excited for him. I'm so excited to be a part of this family in here. I got my kids, my Holly here, everybody. Love you guys. Thank you. Jesus told me when I was young, come sit beside me, oh darling, my only son, and listen closely, oh baby, what I say. And if you do this, it'll help you some sunny day. Oh, take your time, don't live too fast. Troubles will come and they will pass. Learn to forgive, yeah, 'cause we all need love. And don't forget that there is a someone up above. And be a simple kind of man, or be a something you love and understand. And baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, you can do this for me some if you can. And I know you can. And don't you worry about silver and gold. All that you need now, my darling, is in your soul. You can do this, oh baby, if you try. Oh no, all that I want from you, my son, is to be satisfied and be a simple kind of man, or be a something you love and understand. And baby, be a simple kind of man. Oh, won't you do this for me some, if you can? And I know you can. But don't you worry, you'll find your peace. Just follow Jesus, His love never leaves. You can do this, oh darling, if you try. All that I want from you, my son, is to be satisfied and be a simple kind of man, or be a something you love and understand. And baby, be a simple kind of man. You can do this for me some, if you can. And baby, be a simple man. Oh, won't you do this for me some, if you can? Thank you.
So this next song, I can't think of another song that is more Nick, because, well, it's called Church, and it says, "Take me back." I don't know if you guys have noticed, but sometimes when I'm not here, he's brought by Mindy, he's brought by Randy and Angie, and that doesn't go because I need to get him out of the house. It goes because he's asking everyone to take him to church. So when I found this song, and I asked Wes and Jimmy, can we do this? And they were like, yes. So will you guys stand and sing this song with me? There was a time I swore I would never go back. I was blind to the truth, didn't know what I had. I was running, I was searching. On every place I turned for healing, left me more broken than the last. Take me back to a place that feels like home, to the people I can depend on, to the faith that's in my bones. Take me back to a preacher and a verse where they've seen me at my worst, to the love I had at first. I want to go to church. Tried to walk on my own, but I wound up lost. Now I'm making my way to the foot of the cross. Not a trophy for the winners, it's a shelter for the sinners, and it's right where I belong. Take me back to a place that feels like home, to the people I can depend on, to the faith that's in my bones. Take me back to a preacher and a verse where they've seen me at my worst, to the love I had at first. Oh, I want to go to church. People I can depend on, to the faith that's in my bones. Take me back to the preacher and a verse where they've seen me at my worst, to the love I had at first. Oh, I want to go to church. I want to go to church. I wanna go to church.
I wanna go to church.
I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. I see it now, I'm laying it down, and I know that I need you. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. saw my condition. You had a plan from the start. Your son for redemption. Oh, the price for my heart. And I don't have a contest for that kind of love. I don't understand, I can't comprehend. All I know is that I need you. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend, and so I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Whoa, whoa, again and again and again and again. Whoa, whoa, my heart has been in your sights long before my first breath, running into your arms is running to life from death. I feel this rush deep in my chest. Your mercy is calling out, and just as I am, you pull me in, and I know I need you now. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend, and so I run to the Father again and again. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart found a surgeon, my soul found a friend, so I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Whoa, whoa. Thank you.
I see his body breaking. I see his fingers bleed. I see his darkness tremble at the ground below his feet. And in the darkest hour, there on Calvary, he was sweetly broken, broken beautifully, broken beautifully. So come out into the waters, come let the broken sing. Come all you sons and daughters, his love changes everything. Come when the fear is fighting, you're finding the risen King. Come on and let the light in, your love changes everything. In the head changes everything. So come when the fear is fighting, you're finding the rising king. Come on and let the light in. Your love changes everything. Your love, your love, your love changes everything. Your love, your love, your love changes everything. And no one can overcome when death has lost its sting. Your love, your love, your love. In the darkest hours, and in the family low, I will fear no evil, 'cause you'll never let me go. You'll never let me go. Come out into the waters. Come let the broken sing. Come all you sons and daughters. Your love changes everything. Come when the fear is fighting, you're finding the risen king. Come on and let the light in. Your love changes everything.
Thank you.
Anybody out there hitting those high notes with Josh? If you do, I need to talk to you after service. Hey, we're continuing our Lenten Easter sermon series, The Dying Life. And today we're talking about the death of silence. You know, I planned my whole sermon series out weeks ago, and I really thought about skipping this week because I just wasn't really feeling it. But I was reminded multiple times this week how damaging silence can be and how, we need to kill it before it kills us. It doesn't mean that, when your mom told you if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. That doesn't mean that wasn't good advice. And you people who know who you are, right, who need follow mom's advice. But when you should speak, silence can be a terrible thing. Silence can be deafening. I'm not talking about the quiet of a peaceful morning or the hush of a sacred moment. I'm talking about the silence that screams when something's wrong, but no one speaks. The silence of a graveyard after the mourners have left. The silence of a home where words have dried up and wounds fester. The silence of a world that watches injustice unfold and shrugs because we tell ourselves there's nothing we can do about it. Today, we're standing at a tomb, the tomb of a man named Lazarus. In the Gospel of John, chapter 11, verses 32 to 44, Jesus walks into a scene shrouded in silence. Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. His sisters, Mary and Martha, are wrecked with grief, their hope buried with their brother. The air is heavy. The stone is sealed, and death seems to have won. But Jesus steps into the silence, and what he does next changes everything. Well, this Lent we've been wrestling with the things that kill us slowly. Comfort, control, and today, silence. Not the holy kind, but the kind that smothers us, that keeps us locked in tombs of fear or shame or indifference. And Jesus didn't come to leave us there. He came to break the silence. And he's calling us to do the same. So let's look at this story in the Gospel of John, chapter 11, verses 32 to 44. When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you'd been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him." But some of them said, Could not he who opened the eyes of a blind man have kept this man from dying?" Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man, "by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. And then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." When he said this, Jesus called out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." So picture it. Lazarus is dead. 4 days in the grave. Long enough for decay to have begun to set in. And hope is long gone, right? Have you ever wondered, does God care? Has God ever seemed silent? I mean, when Jesus hears that Lazarus, his friend that he loves, is sick, he waits 2 days before he goes to see him. If he really cared, wouldn't he go right away? But as it turns out, it doesn't really matter, because by the time Jesus is told that Lazarus is sick, he's already dead. So there's no hurry. And by the time Jesus gets to Lazarus, he's been dead for 4 days. I wonder, for those 4 days, for Mary and Martha and the people who love Lazarus, I wonder if it seemed like God was silent. They're all asking the same question. If Jesus had been here, couldn't he have done something? But Jesus wasn't there. Have you ever had moments like that where you wonder, where's God? You think, this is the time that I really need God to show up. But it feels like he's just not. You're praying and you're waiting for an answer and nothing. It feels like God is silent. But sometimes I wonder if God is speaking and we just don't hear it because the conversation that we want to have with God is not the conversation that God wants to have with us. Maybe the conversation that we want is not the conversation that we really need. Well, Jesus finally shows up, and Martha meets him on the road. And she says, "Lord, if you'd been here, my brother would not have died." And you can hear the pain in her words, maybe the accusation. You can understand that this is what's on her mind. How things could have been different if Jesus had only been here. You can understand why this is the conversation that she wants to have. And when Jesus wants to have a different conversation, she just has a hard time hearing him. Then Mary comes, Martha's sister, Lazarus' other sister, comes and falls at Jesus' feet, and she's weeping. And she says the same words, "If only you'd been here." But once again, it's the wrong conversation. The crowd is whispering, couldn't he have stopped this? But it's the wrong conversation. Now, Jesus tries to have a conversation with Martha. He tells her, your brother will rise again. She says, yeah, I know that he'll rise again at the resurrection at the last day. And Jesus tells her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever lives and believes in me will never die. And she says to him, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. It sounds like she's saying all the right things, right? But Martha and Jesus are having two very different conversations. And she just cannot hear what he's saying. And we can understand, her difficulty is perfectly understandable, right? She's so wrapped up in her grief. She's so tied to her expectations about what is possible. That she cannot hear that Jesus is wanting to have a much bigger conversation with her than she can even imagine. I wonder if sometimes God seems silent because we just can't even imagine the incredible, unexpected thing that God could be doing in the middle of our pain. So Jesus, he doesn't preach, he doesn't explain, he weeps. And he may be weeping for many reasons, but one of them is certainly just plain, simple human empathy. Just those two words, Jesus wept. It's raw, it's human, it's real. He feels the weight of their loss, the sting of death's silence. And he doesn't rush past it. He enters into it. We have a God who loves us, who weeps with us, who bleeds for us, who gives his life. The silence of the tomb is the ultimate silence, where voices stop, where dreams die, where relationships unravel. It's Lazarus wrapped in grave clothes, sealed behind a stone. It's Mary and Martha drowning in what ifs. It's the crowd resigned to the way things are. We know that kind of silence too, don't we? It's a silence when you see a friend who's struggling, but you don't say anything because you tell yourself, it's none of my business. If he wanted to talk to me, he would. It's the hush over a community when the powerful abuse the weak and we look the other way. It's the silence in your own soul when you've buried something, a hurt, a sin, a dream, because facing it just feels too hard. I've been watching this new show on TV recently, The Doc. I don't know if any of you have seen it or not, but it's about this doctor, and she loses her little boy. He dies suddenly, and she didn't handle her grief very well. All her anger and her resentment and her bitterness and her pain, she buried under a mountain of silence. And as the years went by, that silence destroyed every relationship that she had with her husband, with her daughter, with her friends and coworkers. But one day she has a car accident, and she has a serious head injury because of this accident, and she winds up in a coma. And eventually, she wakes up from her coma, but she has no memory of the last 8 years of her life. They're gone. And so when she wakes up, in her mind, her son is still alive. She's still married to her husband. She wakes up to find out that her son is dead and her husband and her have been divorced. And so she has to deal with all that loss all over again. But in a very real way, she wakes up a better person than the person who was in that car accident. And there's this sense where she's given a second chance. A second chance with her daughter, who got lost in all that pain and silence. But you know, life is complicated and messy, and pretty soon the grief that she's dealing with for a second time and other troubles that come start to pile up, and once again she's overwhelmed and begins to deal with it in this same way all over again by burying all the pain in silence. She won't talk to anybody. And her daughter, who has just gotten her mom back after having lost her for 8 years, now she's much older and much more mature. And so when she sees it beginning to happen again, she says, no, I'm not letting you do this again. I'm not letting you go back to the silence. You've got to talk to me. You can't just pretend that everything's fine. And that's true for us. You can't just pretend that everything's fine. You can't run away from trouble. You can't bury it under a mountain of silence, because silence kills. And there are things where if you want justice or healing or life, you have to face it. Maybe you have to own it. You have to take responsibility. You have to say something. You can't just lock it away in a tomb. Well, Jesus doesn't leave Lazarus in a tomb either. He walks up to the grave, and he says, take away the stone. And Martha objects, like a reasonable person would. You know, she says, she wants to see her brother again, but not like this, because it's been 4 days. He's not going to be right. He's already started to stink. And she's right. It's messy. It's ugly. It's real. But Jesus knows that all those things with life, messy and ugly and real, those things can all be good. Because the truth, even if it's messy, can set you free. But you just have to tell it sometimes. You just have to own it. And Jesus is ready to face all the ugliness and confront the secrets and the silence in our life head on. So let me ask you, what's your tomb? What silence have you sealed shut because it's just too messy or too painful to deal with? With the stone rolled back, Jesus does something extraordinary. He doesn't whisper or mumble. He shouts. He cries with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. It's bold, unapologetic, a command that rips through the silence, and Lazarus walks out, still tangled in the grave cloths. But he's alive. This is Jesus' power. His voice shatters death. It's the same voice that spoke light into darkness, that spoke light into the darkness, that stilled the sea, that will one day call every grave empty. Here it pierces the tomb and pulls Lazarus back to life. But notice this, Jesus doesn't stop with that shout. He turns to the crowd and says, unbind him, let him go. He could have done it all, right? He could have just made those grave cloths fall off of Lazarus. He's God after all. He's already done the impossible. That would be nothing. But instead, he invites the people who are there, invites them in. It's like he's saying, I've broken the silence. Now you break the chains. Resurrection isn't just his work, it's our work with him. Breaking the silence is a team effort. It's the gift that God gives us, that he includes us. It's an amazing gift that he includes us in the work that he does. Jesus calls us to roll away stones, to unbind people, to speak life, where death has crept in. Sometimes the way that we help others to be free is by letting them know that they aren't alone, that they're not the only one who's gone through what they're going through. If we could just be honest about our struggles, about our mistakes, how God helped us when we felt hopeless. It could be just what someone needs to hear so that they can live. But a lot of times we're just afraid that if we speak, if we let someone know our secret shame, if we tell the truth, people will hate us or ridicule us or tell us how worthless we're already afraid that we are. I think people often are better than we expect them to be, better than we give them credit for. Most of the time, I think people respect when we own our mistakes, when we're real and authentic and just tell the truth. A lot of people will want to give us a second chance because most people know that they're not perfect and that we all need to be forgiven sometimes. Well, Jesus shout, "Come out." That's not just for Lazarus, it's for all of us. He's calling us out of our graves, handing us a mission to speak, to unbind, to bring life. So here's the question, where's your voice needed? What silence is God asking you to shatter? Breaking silence takes guts. It's a death of comfort, of safety, of pretending that everything is fine. But it's also where resurrection begins. Look at what happened after the resurrection of Lazarus. Many of the Jews were told who had seen what Jesus did believed in him. Well, I think I would. One shout, one miracle, and faith was ignited. Breaking the silence doesn't just free Lazarus, it frees everyone watching. Your voice isn't just for you. It's for the people connected to your courage. But it's not without cost, right? Some in the crowd ran to the Pharisees, they tattling on Jesus. I'm not sure what they were telling him. Speaking up stirs things up sometimes. And not everybody will cheer. There's that risk that you could be hurt. It could be painful. It can cost you relationships, your reputation, maybe even security. But Jesus doesn't flinch. He knows that silence is a slow poison. And he came for life. Loud, messy, unstoppable life. Yeah, life can be messy. And sometimes, people see the mess, the pain, and they think that that's a reason to not believe in God. If there was really a God, why is there all this pain? That's what they want to know. But if there is no God, guess what? We still have the pain and the mess. But now, you're just alone. And the truth is that most of our pain is because of people's choices, whether it's our choices or other people's choices. That's where most of our pain comes from. But God gives us this freedom. He can make everything perfect, painless. But he has to take away our freedom to do that. And God wants us to love him of our own free will. God wants us to receive his love for us of our own free will. God's love is the one thing that could change your life. But God will not force you to embrace it. With any kind of pain, there's always the risk. With any kind of love, there's always that risk of pain. But we pursue it. We pursue the things that we want because we tell ourselves that it's worth the risk. Because on the other side of life, the life that we want, we believe on the other side of pain is the life that we want, the life that we long for. And you can't have freedom to make choices without pain. You can't have love without pain. You can't have love without pain. God did not design you to not feel pain. In the depth of those moments of despair, those moments when you feel depressed, those moments when you feel alone, that's your soul reminding you that you were designed for life. And life is in Jesus, who breaks the silence and calls us out of our graves. You know, Jesus raises Lazarus. It's kind of a foreshadowing of his own resurrection that's yet to come. But it's also to prove that life isn't just something that Jesus can give for himself, but at Easter, but life is something that he can give all of us. Today, maybe Jesus is inviting you to die. Die to the silence that's killing you and speak life. Maybe it's confessing something you've hidden. Maybe it's confronting a wrong that you've ignored. Maybe it's being a voice for someone who's been silenced. Whatever it is, your life, your voice is a lifeline. Don't bury it. Maybe this week there's something personal you've been dealing with, and you just need to tell a friend. Let them unbind you. If it's something relational, break the silence and start the talk. Maybe you just need to say, I'm sorry to somebody you care about. Whatever you're going through, God may seem silent, but I don't believe that he is. Maybe the conversation that you want is not the conversation you need. Maybe you need to listen for a different conversation. Because you're not alone. Jesus is there weeping with you, rolling stones away for you, and shouting for you to live. In a few moments, we're going to celebrate baptism with Nick. And baptism is a way of saying, I believe. It's a way of breaking that silence and just letting it be known and saying, I'm not going to hide this anymore. I want everyone to know that I love Jesus and I believe in him. So I'm going to head back. We're going to sing a song, and we're going to celebrate baptism with Nick.
In the morning, when I ride, in the morning, when I rise, in the morning, when I rise, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. Oh, when I am alone. Oh, when I am alone. Oh, when I am alone, just give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. When I come to die, when I come to die, when I come Just give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. Give me Jesus. You know, just like Josh had spoke at my baptism, I'd met Josh about a year ago at Rockstar, like you said, and it is a moment that I'll never forget because I was at my lowest. I was just about ready to check myself in, and he had mentioned how grateful he was for treating his son at our previous shows or whatever. And I thought about that when I was away, about how when I think that I had problems and struggles and somebody always has it worse. And I cannot imagine the struggles that Nick has had to go through in his life, and how you've overcome them, and how you should be so proud of yourself, and how I'm so grateful for you and your father for bringing me into this place, and to Alex. God bless you guys. You're friends for life, your family. I look up to you. You guys are rock stars. So thank you. Thank you.
This is my son, Nick. Most everybody that's here knows him. He's kind of unforgettable. He came into this world 1 pound, 13 ounces, and he was fighting. And he was baptized when he was born, only out of fear, because I didn't know if he was going to make it. Me and his mom were struggling, and she couldn't even see him for a week because she had a fever. And he fought all the way. And then we found out he had special needs, and you just modify your life to fit the fact that he has a wheelchair and he has a walker, and it was hard. I was looking forward to a Little League dad, and I was looking forward to a moment, just those dream moments, those like Wally Beaver kind of moments, where you wanted him to be, the All-American. And then having him be the most bold, loving, caring. If Nick loves you, he loves you with all of his heart. So much so that this place has become a safe haven, because I know he can come here and he can be loved and cared for, and I don't have any worries. And a year or so ago, Nick's grandfather passed away, and he was really affected by that. And it hurt me to know that he was hurting. And then right before that, me and his mom split up and got a divorce, and that was my call. And everything in my life has been a little bit better with Nick. It's a struggle sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. It is a struggle, because you see him trying to be that kid in the walker, and he doesn't think he's any different than anybody else. But all of my failures shine on him, and it hurts. And it makes me wonder sometimes how I get to be so lucky to have a kid that is so loving and so caring and such. He's the strongest person that I know. He's the boldest person that I know. He has no fear. He will go up to anybody. How many people have we've talked to and he invited them to church? Me and Alex are sitting there having lunch and we're not even, well, I'm not going to interrupt somebody at lunch. And Nick just gets up and goes and says, hi, you need to come to church and see Jimmy Angel, Wes. You need to come to church. The amount of people that he told Sam Dixon was going to be here, and I didn't even know he knew Sam Dixon was going to be here. And it's so funny to me that he is just so bold. There's no fear. And I just am proud of the fact that he made this decision. He told me, he said, I wanted to get baptized. And I was like, if you're sure. So I called Alex, and Alex came over that day, started talking to him, and he was like, yes, I want to do this. There was no moment where I tried to influence him. He made his own decision. And so I am proud of the little man that I am raising.
Nick, do you love Jesus?
Yes, I do.
That's all that matters. I baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. Just give me Jesus. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations, Nick.